Oh, this one. Lori. Don't ever get into it with Lori. Lori remembers your names. Lori is the catalog.
So why did I just play that clip for you? Because Brown, KJP's attorney, just filed. It says this right near the top, right near the introduction. Lori was suffering from confusion, foggy thought, poor memory, and anxiety. Every time Brown files something or says something, there's a clip of Katie saying the opposite. It makes it look so bad. Katie saying she's a dictionary. She's a catalog. She remembers everything. It's like, which is it? So they go through certain dates. I'm going to give you these, key things here. Saltz and Barnhart engaged in a Twitter spat in 2020. This matters because then he leads into, then after that, Saltz filed the Fulmer Declaration, and Brown says, Saltz only filed that declaration to harass Barnhart. He's implying Saltz was so upset with Lori because they got in this Twitter argument, he was willing to file a whole declaration to go against her. I don't believe that myself. That's just so crazy to think. Like, why would Saltz even care about a Twitter spat? As plaintiffs intended, the abusive Fulmer Declaration was broadcast to a huge social media audience. On January 1st, though, Saltz sent a private message to Barnhart threatening that she could be in trouble, but that he would let her off or let her go if she cooperated as instructed. Therefore, he's implying that Saltz kind of talked Lori or threatened Lori into doing all of this, and that's why she signed his paper. Barnhart and the undersigned prepared the first Barnhart Declaration. I was confused because I was like, didn't Lori only file one? Well, he calls whatever they drafted a declaration, even though it wasn't filed. So he says the 150 emails and 2 phone calls are the first declaration with Brown, and then the Saltz Barnhart Declaration is the second declaration. I find it confusing. Why are you saying it's the first one when it wasn't signed or filed, damn it? Brown, you're really getting to me, man. And he even says it, she was eager to sign it before Brown decided to delay the filing. So if Brown wouldn't have delayed the filing, Lori's signature would be on there. So the court should just assume or treat it as Lori's signature's on there, kind of, right? And then on the 12th of January, Lori contacted the plaintiff's counsel, Saltz, who proceeded to interview her for 11 hours and review the emails with the undersigned, despite telling them she was represented by Brown. You're going to have to tell me this in the comments. I don't remember Brown ever proving that Lori-Ann was being represented by Brown. And somebody even said that in a different filing, he states kind of the opposite. I don't remember where it is, though. You might have to tell me down below. Plaintiff's counsel proceeded to prepare and procure Lori's signature to a second declaration, which contradicted almost every material aspect of the story. Got a question, I'm going to interrupt. If she doesn't sign it, does it really even matter? Then he goes in to say a court can sanction Saltz for allowing these blatant lies and blatant craziness to be thrown into the court and harm KJP by filing it. So the course of conduct outlined above warrants sanctions. So he's saying Saltz needs to be formally in trouble. Counsel should be sanctioned for interviewing Barnhart and reviewing her emails after she told him she was represented by the counsel. Plaintiff should be sanctioned for procuring testimony that was demonstrably false, obviously unreliable, and highly prejudicial. I think it was about $20,000. So he said it was about $400 an hour for Mr. Brown. Damn, $400 an hour for his attorney fees for the amount of hours he had to put into this. What do I think in the end? I don't think the judge is going to go for this. I think they're desperate. And to see them say, hey, we want you to pay our attorney fees, it literally made everybody ask if KJP is running out of money. And I guarantee Saltz thought that too. Remember how I mentioned that a live streamer and these rumors went around and all this crazy stuff happened? We now know what that evidence is because a video was uploaded to YouTube about 20 hours ago. I'm not going to tell you where or how to find it right now because I just don't know what to think of this yet. And if I do figure out what to think of it, I'll do another video. But essentially, it shows... You remember Nat from the Nat filing, the person who said that she was being harassed a lot and all this crazy stuff? Well, it shows pictures of her Instagram. Now, the reason why I finally decided to talk about this in this video and thus delayed my video a lot is because over on Twitter, an account appeared that supposedly was shared by people close to the case, and it essentially was Nat on Twitter, according to the account and the people that shared it, and she was saying her excuse for the things that happened. A bunch of Instagram posts detailed certain parts of her mental disorders that she was pretty upfront about, but then again, there really are some like worrisome things about it. Am I going to go into detail here? No. The same thing I said yesterday. Maybe it was the day before, but I said don't spread rumors about this around because it didn't seem like it was, to be honest, what's happening to her could have been someone doing it to her, or it could have been her doing it. And I'm not going to make any guesses on what's going on or anything. I'm just going to stay where I'm at and wait for some facts to come out because the FBI and the authorities are going to identify who it was and what happened. Now I understand why people were chattering yesterday. Who took these Instagram pictures, put this into an Instagram video, and then uploaded it to YouTube? That's what I want to know because it's pretty weird. If she's willing to cooperate with authorities, then we are going to find out what happened in the end. And I think that's all that matters, okay? So, anyway. That just kind of like flatlines the rumors out. And the video production that never ends. I actually have a transcript of the conference call between the lawyers. So let's take a look at what I want to show you. All right, the first interesting point about it is that it says here at the top that all of the stuff Saltzy's doing is hurting her business because Katie has a social media business, okay? Oh God, I think this is just crazy. Saltz comes back after being accused for a bunch of stuff. I'm not gonna read all of it because you know most of it. And he says, what's strikingly disappointing about the proceedings is that there are statements in Mr. Brown's declaration that there are certain things that are said. Then he attaches documents that don't say that. In this instance, he said that we made an accusation with regard to accusing his client of engaging in hacking when the tweets specifically do not say that. The tweets say somebody had tried to hack into my account, and in doing so, whomever did used a familiar email in the process. He literally stated, he just smacked it down. Strikingly disappointing. I love it. And he fires in with this, which is just the way it's worded, the way he said it is crazy. Any YouTube content creator, anybody who was a content creator that have published negative content about Ms. Paulson, or any private person on Twitter who dared stand up to what they believed were misstatements by Ms. Paulson about this case that she had been publishing on a regular basis since its filing. And one of the emails, one of Ms. Paulson's tweets was on January 7th, where Ms. Paulson said specifically that they were, in essence, reading our emails. So in light of the fact that we just found out someone tried to use Ms. Paulson's email to break into our email account, and exactly 1 week prior, Ms. Paulson publishes a tweet saying, we can read your emails, we know everything. We asked the question of people who saw the tweet and who knew the context perhaps better than us, whether that tweet was an admission of hacking. Not that she did it. And then in private messages, we tried to elicit Mr. Brown's involvement in what was going on. You don't find that too often. Saltzy came in and stood up for us. Those of us that have had the hacking attempts, and you guys know I have also. Those of us who have had threats and all this craziness. He brought that in and stood up for that. I think that's awesome, man. That shows some. Sometimes you don't see that. Sometimes you don't see people taking this kind of thing seriously. And Saltzy seems like he is out of everybody. I didn't remember hearing about this. So Brown responds. Instead of Brown addressing the threats and all that, he then says he agrees that the court can read the emails. Mr. Saltz starts by and tries to start going into Saltz again. So he's more worried about Saltz, in my opinion, than even the threats. But the judge doesn't care. The judge comes back, says, let me ask you a question, speaking to Mr. Brown. Does your client have any idea where these death threats are coming from? Mr. Brown says, none, Your Honor. I've looked at this some. I've actually spoke to 2 agents in the FBI in the local office yesterday about this in the cyber unit. Oh, I knew the cyber unit's involved, but this is said by a lawyer in a court of law. And there were people out there denying that the FBI was involved yesterday. There are people that try to mess with other people's accounts and do dumb stuff to other people's accounts. And what I like about this case is they're interested in finding out who's doing it to anyone who's been commentating, anyone involved. So because of this, we could get all the hacking attempts, all the threats, all the death threats, all that really nasty trolling handled due to the FBI jumping in on this. And I like that. Do you guys remember just a little bit ago in this video, and I hope I didn't edit it out because I edited a lot of the recording down for unnecessary stuff, but I said I'd like to know who uploaded the video because it's really weird that somebody did upload that video I talked about. But they bring up the exact thing that was alleged in that video that I talked about in the second part of this video. This was brought up in the hearing. This hearing was done when? At least 8 days ago or more, because this was put here 8 days ago. Oh my god, that's crazy. So the same thing that was pointed out in that video was mentioned by Mr. Brown. And then the judge interrupts Mr. Brown. Thank you, Mr. Brown. Thank you, Mr. Saltz. I've heard enough to say this. Nobody has asked for or briefed the issue of the gag order. The court does not intend to use one, but I'll go this far. If all of this behavior is unfitting attorneys, all of this behavior is unfitting attorneys. There are rules of attorney responsibility behavior in California and Washington, and they are remarkably similar to those rules would all prohibit what is going on. Now, as I say, I'm not going to gag order, but I expect this to stop. I only have control over certain people. I don't know any of the people, Mr. Saltz, who may be sending death threats. I'm sorry that you're getting them, but there are some people that this court does have control over, and that's the attorneys. And that's the plaintiff and the defendant, and I want this to stop. This case will be tried in court. It will be tried through filed documents and briefings. I'll rule on the motion to dismiss, and we will go from there. The case will not be tried in social media. The court does not want to have to go through page after page of accusations, which then turned out, well, really weren't accusing them because it all could be somebody in somebody else's name. And you're taking up the court's time on something that the counsel should not be engaged in. I will just strike a warning if this goes on. I will entertain a motion for a gag, but I don't want to have to do it because frankly, I consider that an insult to the attorneys in the case to have. And that's about it. I don't want to waste any more of your time. This is really crazy because it shows this information was the information that we were talking about that I didn't really want to go deep into, that Katie and her lawyer were trying to put it out in court, and then a week or two later, it gets uploaded to YouTube on a brand new YouTube account. It's all really strange. Keep an eye out. I'll be back.